Hi, I'm Melody. Welcome to Tropical Problems, a video series serving up easy, practical, science-based tips to survive the build-up season and prevent mango madness. In each episode, I'll speak to an expert to find out how to manage the heat so we can live our best tropical lives. Today's episode is about mozzies and midges and the additional source of misery that they are when you're already hot and cranky and sweaty in tropical build-up. So today I've got Dr. Cameron Webb. He's an Associate Professor of Medical Entomology with New South Wales Health Pathology and the University of Sydney. So Cameron is an expert on mozzies and mosquito-borne diseases. Just tell us a little bit more about the mosquitoes that you find in tropical Australia. How are they different to the mosquitoes that you might find down south or across the rest of Australia?
Well, mosquitoes are a pretty amazing group of insects. There are over 300 species of mosquito that we know of anyway across Australia. And across the north end, around Darwin in particular, there's dozens of different mosquitoes that might be of important pest or public health concern. In Northern Australia, there's a long mosquito season as well because you're not interrupted by the cold winters like there would be in temperate Australia.
Are the mosquito bites that you get in the top end of Australia a little different? Do they stay longer? Are they itchier?
So one of the interesting things is to think about what happens when a mosquito bites. So it's only the female mosquito that bites, and she bites because she needs the energy hit from the blood to help develop her eggs. Now, when a mosquito lands on you to bite, the first thing she does is inject a little bit of saliva into your skin, and that helps the blood flow, but it also has a bit of anesthetic and anticoagulant that makes it easier for the mosquito to feed quite quickly, as well as the painfulness of the bite itself, which probably has something to do with how large the mosquito is. And you've got plenty of very big mosquitoes around the Northern Territory as well. But it's that reaction to the saliva that she injects that really makes it sore and itchy. So in the same way, we all react a little bit differently to food or chemical or other environmental allergens. We all react a little bit differently to mozzie spit as well. And so you will find yourself reacting very badly. The severity of our reaction depends a little bit on our previous exposure. And so the funny thing is that when I'm working around Sydney, I don't react very badly to the mosquitoes that are biting me here. But if I was to travel to Darwin or far north Queensland or northern Western Australia, there are exactly the same mosquitoes there that we get in Sydney. But when I'm bitten there, I get much worse reactions. And so there is probably something a little bit different in the chemistry of the mozzie spit.
Another problem that we face up here in the top end is the problem of midges.
Biting midges are really a significant kind of pest problem, particularly around those estuaries. So where there's lots of mangroves and mudflats, these insects really love those intertidal zones on the mudflats. And the problem is they can be incredibly abundant. And the thing about biting midges, which is different to mosquitoes, is that while a mosquito has a very elegant, narrow, needle-like mouth part that she injects into you to feed, biting midges tend to have this kind of sort of scraping mouth parts. And so what you'll find is they tend to be a lot more painful than mosquito bites. They also tend to be more likely to come up in a bit of a scab and are prone to secondary infection. And so for that reason, the biting midges are often much worse an inconvenience and nuisance for many people. I'd much rather be bitten by a mosquito than a biting midge, I must admit. And unfortunately, sometimes our mosquito repellents that we use that are very effective against mosquitoes don't seem to be quite as good at keeping away a lot of those biting midges either.
So that would probably lead on to my next question, in that what can you do to prevent being bitten by both mosquitoes and biting midges?
First of all, limiting your time outdoors at dawn and dusk when mosquitoes and biting midges are most active can certainly be one way to do that. You can cover up by wearing light coloured long sleeve shirt and long pants, and not thongs. Shoes provide a physical barrier against these biting insects. But there's also a range of, cheap, effective and safe to use insect repellents that you can get at the local pharmacy or supermarket. Products that contain DEET, diethyltoluamide, or picaridin generally provide the longest lasting protection against mosquitoes and biting midges. The most important thing though to remember is that you put on a nice even coat of the repellent on all exposed areas of skin. So a dab here or there is not going to provide enough protection. And if you miss a bit, those mosquitoes and biting midges are going to find that bare skin and certainly going to bite you if they give them the chance. say you're going fishing or you're doing some other kind of professional or recreational activity around those mangroves and coastal wetlands, particularly for long periods of time at dusk or into the early evening, sometimes wearing long sleeve shirts and long pants is just a more reliable way to prevent those bites.
Lots of the families that move up to Darwin have young kids. For some parents, the thought of slathering their kids in mozzie repellent or insect repellent is not very appealing, so they would much rather cover up. But then, you've got the poor bub sweating.
Yeah, I know there's always concerns amongst the community about the safety of using some of these insect repellents, but it's important to remember that for all of the mosquito repellents that you buy in a supermarket or pharmacy, they all have to be registered with the Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority, and they check these products for their efficacy and their safety. And in actual fact, for some of the diethyltoluamide-based repellents, that's recommended for use on children as young as about 3 months of age.
Say you've taken all the precautions, but you're still being bitten anyway. What's the best way to soothe the bite?
Compress, so like a nice cold pack or something like that, that can alleviate some of the swelling that might be associated with the bites, and particularly for young children. You can choose some of the anti-itch creams, any of those sort of soothing lotions that you can get from a pharmacist, particularly for young children. You don't want them scratching and breaking the skin, whether it's a biting midge or a mosquito bite. Keeping the bite side as clean as possible and using a bit of disinfectant is really important as well, so that you don't get that secondary infection. Antihistamines can be used to alleviate some of that reaction as well. But have a chat to your pharmacist to see whether that's a solution that's right for you. And always look to some of the information provided at the local health authority. They'll be able to give you some good information to help you choose one of those options that might best fit you and where you live.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Cameron. Thanks for joining us on Tropical Problems.
That's no problem. My absolute pleasure. Thanks.